I think a lot of things happen to us, or especially in this country, because we allow it. We say, I was telling Frank on the way here, we say, oh, that doesn't concern me. That's never going to affect me.
Yeah.
And then eventually it does. And well, like I told him, when it's at your doorstep, then you're like, why is this happening to me? Well, why were you not concerned when it was happening to someone else?
Yeah.
That's easy. It's easy to turn the other way. I tell my kids this constantly. It's like there's three things you could do. You could do the right thing, you could do the wrong thing, or you could do nothing. But all three of those have consequences.
True.
You know what I mean? Looking the other way and not worrying about a situation that people should be worrying about. We'll come back. It's only a matter of time. This is true. I've experienced this in my 47 years of life. Things that I didn't think were going to concern me, and guess what? They did. Came back and bit me. So people should never think that way. I have relatives that are like, well, I sent you that thing today about how Texas gave up.
That's that rectangle.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just because that section wanted to own other human beings, and people are like, what do we care? It's the past. It didn't affect us. It's like, because this is what happens when you allow people to get away with this. When you don't say, hey, this is wrong. What you're doing, owning another human being, this is wrong.
Yeah, it's fucking...
Do you know what I mean? And it wasn't just the owning. I mean, if you look into it and you do your research, these people were basically terrorized. For years and decades and decades, and it wasn't even until, what is it? Maybe, less than 100 years ago. Right? And even now, some could say that these people are still terrorized, but look at segregation, especially in the South, 50s and 60s. And people didn't think that would affect them. And it was like, guess what? It did. It took people to say enough. President Kennedy. It took, Martin Luther King for people to say, this is enough. We're not going to tolerate this. This is, it only happens because we allow it to happen. Everything that happens in those countries, it happens because we allow it to happen. The tax breaks for the rich. Income inequality. Nobody says, hey, it's enough of this. Yeah. Hopefully we all learn from our past, because our past has everything to do with where we're going.
Yeah. Yeah, I definitely would not, and even currently, for some reason, if we, next day there's aliens and we have to be slaves for them and, mine resources, I would rather die trying to fight for my freedom than, doing something for somebody else for free. And I hate that.
Not just, and that wasn't just it, right? It wasn't just the manual labor. The manual labor without, you know what I mean, representation or whatever, without being properly, paid for your work. Taxation without representation, you know what I mean?
They're getting mistreated.
But the whole mistreat, I mean, if you were a slave and I was a slave owner, I could come into your house and take your wife right now.
Yeah.
So my friends and I could have fun with your wife, and then in the morning it's like, here you go, here's your wife back. How awful was that? Or your children, I have 4. And they were taken away sometimes at the age of 5, and they would never see their kids again. We don't think there's anything wrong with this. We have a very dark history. And people are like, I wasn't a slave owner, it doesn't pertain to me. And okay, I understand what you're saying. At the same time, even I have profited from what happened in the past. Dude, this country was built on slave labor. Period. We can't deny that. It happened. And if you're here, my parents, they came here illegally in the 70s, even though, I know people who will tell me, we didn't cross the border. The border crossed us. I work with people, and this guy's family had been here in California for 300 years. You know what I mean? It's like, we didn't come from anywhere. We came from right here. But at the same time, it's like they grasp that whole being American. They don't throw the bathwater out with the baby. It's like, You know what I mean? They've always paid their taxes, even when they were here illegally, which is a big misconception that illegal aliens don't pay taxes. I'm sorry. One way or another, they pay their fair share. They actually contribute. And this was back in 2009,